Good morning and welcome to WHIO Reports, a community service of News Center 7 and WHIO Radio. I'm Jim Otte. On the program today, we're taking a look at the Miami Valley economy. 10 years after the recession, the national picture, it's pretty bright. Unemployment's very low. The stock market is up. Well, okay, then it went back down, then back up again. Businesses looking for workers, but can they find enough of them to meet demand? In this half hour, we'll take a look at the work of the local chambers of commerce who serve the community through their members and as advocates for future growth. We'll meet our guest now. Holly Allen is Director of Marketing and Communications for the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for being here. Chris Schutte is Vice President of Destination Marketing and Communications at the Chamber of Greater Springfield. So welcome to the program. Holly, let's talk about your path to the Chamber here. I know you had been in television prior to this. What led you working for the Chamber?
Well, it was an opportunity to get involved in the community. As a reporter, you feel like you're kind of looking from the outside in all the time. And so this has been an opportunity for me to be involved in the development of the Dayton region. It's been really fulfilling for me.
Chris?
Well, Jim, it's kind of interesting. My wife and I both grew up in Springfield. After we got married, we moved to Hilton Head, South Carolina for about 10 years. We moved back for a lot of family reasons, and there was an opening in the travel and tourism division of the Chamber, which I thought really would be a really appealing thing for me. Well, you flash forward now 11 years, and I've kind of moved through running the Convention and Visitors Bureau, now being more of on the vice president level with the Chamber and working with a lot of community events and everything else.
I thought perhaps you would say you moved back for the weather.
Yes,
yes. And the golf, too, as well. I want to take a look now at the overview of the economy from the Chamber's point of view. How do you gauge what's happening in this economy, Holly? In the news all the time, we talk about what the stock market is doing. The end markets are up or down, and sometimes it's confusing. You can't tell. But how do you gauge what we're doing here?
Well, I think we do that in a number of different ways. We do it through hard data. Our chamber pulls economic indicators. We pull numbers about our local economy here monthly, work with Wright State University to do that. We also talk regularly with our members to see what of each industries, how they're doing, and what their challenges are. And it's remained pretty consistent for us. You mentioned unemployment is very low. We hear over and over again from our members, they're doing really well business-wise. They're just trying to find the employees to fill the positions that they have open in our region. There are opportunities. So it's really been workforce, workforce, workforce. And that has been the message for the last few years. And to us, that says they've got the business. They have the work in front of them. They're just trying to fill those positions. And that's an indicator the economy is doing really well. So we put those two things together, the anecdotal stories, the data that we're pulling on a monthly basis. And it's been a few years now that our economy has been doing really well. So those holes we need to plug for our businesses have changed, and it has really been workforce.
Chris, do you have a sense as to how far we have come since the recession?
Yeah, I mean, a great way forward. I think one of the best barometers for us is in just the last 5 years, we've added 5,000 jobs in Clark County, and that accounts for $500 million in local investment into our economy. Now, granted, as Holly said, totally agree, it's really more of a workforce issue right now. It's finding people in these skilled trades, especially, to take these jobs. So while unemployment remains low, we still are definitely in need of skilled workers to fill some of these positions.
Okay, so 10 years ago, had you ever thought by the time we get to 2019, we're going to have so many job openings, we just need more people to fill those? Did anybody see this coming?
I think it would have been impossible to literally predict that 10 years ago.
Right.
I want to talk about in the Miami Valley, a lot of people had thought, okay, well, in 2019, manufacturing is one of those things that left us in the past. Although in our news stories, we constantly say, no, manufacturing is still a thing in this region. And Chris, when you're out talking to people and really spreading the word about some of the good things that happen here, you must often have to say, no, manufacturing is still not just a thing, but it is still growing even.
Absolutely, and I think it's just a different animal today than it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. I mean, the heritage of Springfield is International Harvester and Navistar. Obviously they're kind of back on a successful path, but really the next generation for us is companies like Topre America, which has made a $350 million investment in Springfield, and that's advanced manufacturing is what that is. That's advanced auto manufacturing. Silfex, which is a next-gen silicon components company, has made a massive investment in Springfield. So there are still manufacturing jobs, but they're just very different than the manufacturing jobs of yesterday.
Yeah. Ollie, you see that growth continue?
Absolutely. You know, we hear advanced manufacturing, and Chris mentioned skilled workers. That's what they're looking for specifically. We have businesses like Nuvasive that have come in to the Miami Valley, and they're making medical pieces. But it's a very specific skill set they're looking for. So we have seen the growth, but as Chris said, manufacturing doesn't look the same as it looked even 10 years ago. So the needs have changed, and we need to be able to meet that.
So one of the challenges is finding people to work. Long term, though, education really is the answer there. The one industry that has grown here dramatically over the last 10 years has been higher education. Sinclair and Clark State also have added programs here. How important in your view, Chris, is that to be able to, okay, if our future is going to be bright in another 10 years, to make sure those programs are running well?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's the absolute center point right now. I mean, we have to train the workforce that is coming up for these positions. They have to be ready to walk into these jobs. And Jim, these are good paying jobs. These are very, I mean, you can be very successful working in these advanced manufacturing types of positions. And I think that, you know, the kids that are coming up now through high school, you know, while a 4-year college degree is great, a lot of these positions don't require that. You can go through a 2-year associate's program and be groomed to walk right into one of these jobs. So I really think, you know, I mean, a lot of our focus on the workforce side is in that childhood education, up through internships, up through, you know, into college. So I think, yeah, that to me is a real key.
Yeah, but Holly, how do you spread the word about that? That this whole world is out there. It's not your father's factory.
Right.
I've heard that phrase, I don't know how many times in our news coverage.
Well, we've done that in a couple of different ways. So I think Chris, you know, totally hit it, that we've known for several years that having a really close relationship with the universities in our area has been key. Sinclair has been fantastic in kind of marrying what our industries need, making sure that our businesses have a voice and a place at the table. But we've learned that you got to start earlier than that, even high school. So we've been very involved with Learn to Earn Dayton, and we have been involved with the Preschool Promise. I mean, we have said if you get to these kids when they're 3 and 4 years old and make sure they're on the right path, we can kind of guide them into where these jobs will be. One of the things we've done in the last couple of years with Learn to Earn Dayton is we put together a website, DaytonWorkforce.com, and we've identified the top 10 up-and-coming industries in the region. We've put together information on the jobs available in each of those industries, and then we've paired them with what are the educational institutions and outlets in our region that can get you the education you need to get a job immediately in one of these industries that's hiring. So for us, it's really identifying what are the needs for our businesses, how can we pair it with our educational institution and make sure that we're talking to one another and then getting the word out to those who are looking for job opportunities.
So what kind of response do you get from that? So many times parents just automatically sometimes assume that that child is definitely going off to college and that is their future. They map that starting at around middle school.
Yes.
But that is not always the case.
It's not always the case. And we've found it's messaging. You know, we've worked with our logistics industry through the Dayton Area Logistics Association that sometimes it's a PR job. It's about changing that perception. You can get a job as a welder right out of high school or get a trade, some sort of certification for that trade and make really good money, a good salary, and you can support a family. It's not always a 4-year degree. That's not always the answer. But you're right, sometimes the parents don't always buy into it. So we need to make sure we're getting that message to them.
Chris, just about a minute before the break, I want to ask, how do you market our region here when you're competing very definitely with other regions? And to make sure that those kids are coming from the Miami Valley, that they're not going away, that they're not drawn to the I call it the siren song of the beach and the mountains and all that, which we do not have here.
Right, and I mean that is a huge challenge. I mean, really, attraction and retention, especially when you talk about workforce, is a huge challenge. One of the things that we really look at is quality of life. If you can create the quality of life in your community that young people want, you have a vibrant downtown, you have events that are going on a regular basis, you have niche retail and restaurants, that's what they want. That's why they're moving away. They're not so much moving away for climate, you know, they're moving away for entertainment, quality of life things. So it's something we've invested in heavily, especially from the Chamber Convention and Visitors Bureau angle.
That's very good. We'll have to take a break here. When we come back, I want to look a little bit further down the road in terms of those jobs that are definitely coming here, and that's at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. That's extremely important to us. Stay with us here at WHIO Reports. Welcome back to WHIO Reports. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jim Otte. This morning we're talking about the local economy with representatives of the Chamber of Commerce organizations here in Dayton and Springfield. Check my Facebook page if you want to find out what's coming up on future programs here in WHIO Reports. I'm also on Twitter at JOtte, WHIO. Our guest this morning, Holly Allen, is the Director of Marketing and Communications for the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. Chris Schutte is the Vice President of Destination Marketing and Communications at the Chamber of Greater Springfield. Want to go now to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base to check in with what's happening there with new jobs. 2 missions there are expanding, one that's already here and growing, another one involving the F-35 that's all brand new, bringing in hundreds of new jobs over the next couple of years. Take a look. This is the new mission coming here, not the aircraft, but a new unit to manage the F-35 fleet around the world. Senator Portman toured the base and received an update on plans to bring that F-35 management unit here to Wright-Patt over the next 2 years.
Today I got to go to the Joint Strike Fighter program to see what they're doing. They had folks come in from around the country to brief me. Everything's going to get done here in terms of operations, logistics, support. They're renovating building space for that.
Getting this mission was a big win for the base, and it followed a true competition among other bases. Jeff Hoagland is the head of the Dayton Development Coalition. He says 400 jobs will be coming here.
And it has a multiplier of 2 to 3x, so the 440 jobs will eventually equate to, take your pick of, is it 800, is it 1,200, is it 1,600? It's going to be huge.
The other project on the way is a multi-million-dollar expansion of the National Air and Space Intelligence Center. That'll involve new construction and new jobs to fill that space.
It's roughly a $182 million project. Today I saw the plans, where the new building will be, what the renovations are to the existing structure. And again, this is going to be fantastic because right now they are literally too crowded to be able to fit everybody in to do the intelligence mission.
So as it stands now, the news from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is great. That is one of the major engines driving our economy here. Holly Allen, just your reaction to the fact that those jobs are on the way.
Well, I think that we can't overstate the impact that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base has on our economy. So when we see more jobs coming, it's always great news. You hear, 400 plus jobs coming in, but what we think about are also the families coming with those employees who will be working at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. So it's going to have a really large impact, and it's about for us making sure we have the infrastructure in place to support those jobs that are coming and their families, but also take advantage of what that means for us as far as opportunities for our businesses outside the gates as well.
And Chris, as these people come here, that's more of a regional thing. They're not going to be right there
No, absolutely.
on or around the base. They're going to be all over the community here.
That's true. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of people that travel from Clark County to work at the base every single day. And we have a similar impact with our Air National Guard base that is unmanned aircraft. Again, hundreds of people that are working in our community, that are part of our community. So I think that the military presence really can't be overestimated.
So, Holly, you mentioned the phrase taking advantage of that, and I want to explore that just for a little bit. As this growth comes, how do you take advantage of that? One of the things I ended up doing a story back, a good 10, 15 years ago was during the BRAC, the realignment process was, as missions came to Wright-Patt, we very quickly discovered that a lot of those spouses run businesses. They brought those here.
Sure
Their
did.
employees came as well. So those are some unanticipated benefits of having an expansion of the base, is that you never know where that growth is going to lead us.
Absolutely.
But how do you take advantage of this?
Well, I think there are many different ways. We've looked at it from a public policy approach. So we have worked to allow the children of military folks who move into our area to get in-state tuition. So for us, that's taking advantage of, if we can get them to go to school here, maybe they'll stay in the Dayton area, and that will help us fill those workforce needs, right? It's also opportunities for bids for our businesses outside the gates. So we need to make sure that we're helping them communicate with the folks at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but also research that comes out of Wright-Pat. So anytime we get new missions, that might mean new opportunities for businesses to pull some of the research that's coming out of the base and turn that into a business idea. We've seen that with some of our businesses like Battle Site Technology, which took some night vision technology and created a whole new business out of that, and they're operating in downtown Dayton. So not only that, but as you mentioned, we have families that come and they have careers of their own. They may be starting businesses, and that's an opportunity for our chamber member businesses who are already here. So it's making those connections. That's the role we play.
Chris, I can just see, though, the mission on the part of the chambers is to make sure that whether it's the Springfield Guard Base or here at Wright Pat, is to make sure that that integration goes on all the time, that you are talking to them, they're talking to you and sharing what their needs are because they're doing business with your local community.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to that point, we were just at the Air National Guard Base for a chamber board meeting about 2 months ago. And then yesterday at our chamber board meeting, we had representatives from the Air National Guard Base, including the commander, actually attend our chamber board meeting because we want them to be integrated into what's going on in the community. It's very important for us that they know what's happening in Springfield and that they can help spread that message. So yeah, I think that's a crucial point.
Okay, I want to talk about what the benefits are for those local businesses in your community to be a part of the chamber. This is a big deal for especially new businesses. They want to be part of the community. They want to start literally hit the ground running. Ali, how do they do that, and what benefits do they receive then as a member of a chamber?
Well, I think any chamber, the biggest benefit is networking. We can make those connections. We call ourselves a connector. So it's, if you want to do business with some of the largest buying organizations in the region, we can make those connections for you. We offer professional development opportunities. We have savings opportunities. There are so many different ways for them to get plugged into the community, whether it's serving on one of our committees or just coming to events and getting to know the other chamber members. We represent the entire region. So if you're doing business and you're located in Warren County, but you're doing business all the way up in Miami County, there's no better way to make those connections than to just run into someone at a chamber event.
Chris, how often is it where somebody comes and joins the chamber and finds, I didn't know this about the community, or I was not aware of this other project that preceded me? Right. That must happen a lot.
Absolutely, and to Holly's point, it's interesting. Small business is really the lifeblood of chambers. Our larger member organizations they're invested in us because they look at the chamber as being the catalyst and as being a convener, as you said. We're the ones that bring stakeholders together for larger scale projects, things of that nature. Small businesses really want something a little different, though. They do, and I completely agree. They want connection. They want face-to-face networking. I mean, they can do everything they want to do on social media, which is great. But at the end of the day, people do business with people they know. And that's what chambers can do. We can really pull people together, and you're much more likely to do business with me if you've met me in some context. So I think still for the smaller businesses, what they really want is marketing, and they want networking. They want the chamber to expose them and then expose them to other chamber members.
If they are joining the Chamber of Commerce now, perhaps for the first time, their expectations are pretty high. They've got to be, because you've been around for 100 years and you know everybody in the community. So I would see that as an opportunity, Holly, to, okay, where do I start? I need help with this. Do you know someone who does that? Or I have this supplier, I need 2 more.
Oh gosh, yeah, we get those calls all the time. A lot of our members, if they're looking for a vendor, they pick up the phone and they call us. And so we're able to make those connections. And we connect chamber members with chamber members. So that's one of the great things about, we're kind of a family. We support each other. We support local and we support chamber members. So we get those calls where they're looking for someone who, replaces carpet or whatever it is. And we're able to make those connections. But we also have public policy. We offer lobbyists on staff. So if there's some piece of legislation or some tax issue that's going to cause you issues within your business, you can pick up the phone and call us, and we have the resources on staff. If you're a small business, you probably don't have access to a lobbyist. So we're able to fight for you and provide a voice for you, whether it's on a state or federal level or just something here locally. We can connect you with the right people.
We have to take another break here. When we come back, we're going to look a little bit further down the road in terms of the future of the Miami Valley economy, both Springfield and the Dayton region, and look beyond the current year. We're beyond the recession. We're doing good. Will that strength continue in the local economy? Stay with us here at WHIO Reports. Back in a minute. Welcome back to WHIO Reports. I'm Jim Otte. We're talking about the Miami Valley economy here with Holly Allen of the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce, also Chris Schutte of the Chamber in Springfield. Okay, so Chris, look ahead, look further down the road beyond the end of this year and tell us, okay, the current economy, it's pretty strong. There's still a lot of demand for workers that we cannot fill all those openings. That would have been hard to see maybe 10 years ago. But beyond the end of this year and into next year, do you have an idea as to what direction we are headed? Will it continue to be this strong across all industries, along all services, even retail? What do you think?
And I think we're, Jim, very optimistic that this will continue. If you look at what's going on right now in Springfield today, we have a 300-bay parking garage being constructed with ground floor retail. Right adjacent to National Road Commons, you have 34 townhomes being built. We have a real reemergence of a retail corridor that has emerged on North Fountain with retail stores and restaurants. Cohatch, which is a co-working space and market, will be opening here soon. So our downtown, which is really truly the heartbeat of Clark County and of our community, is really in the midst of a renaissance. So when you really look at that, as we play that out over the next few years, I see that being a driver for our economy, beyond just 2019. I see that being a driver as we get into 2020, 2021. I think that's going to continue to pay dividends.
Okay, Holly, what's happening in Dayton that you think will lead us into 2020 still on the ups?
Sure. I think we're in the same place Springfield is. We're very optimistic. We're looking at all of the investments that are happening. He mentioned downtown Springfield. Downtown Dayton is the same. We have projects like the arcade going on. We're seeing businesses like Stratacash making substantial investments in properties in downtown Dayton. We've seen the housing market explode in downtown Dayton, and now businesses are making decisions to invest there. And I think that's a positive sign because these are not short flips. These are long-term investments. And so we're keeping an eye on them. We meet every year at the end of the year with economists and take a look at the different industries and try to make predictions for the coming year. And we'll do that here in the next couple of months. But we're very happy to see that businesses are not pulling back. They're not afraid to make bold decisions. And I think that's a sign that we'll be okay going into 2020. It's
sometimes difficult to gauge optimism. So many businesses, when we go out and do our stories here at News Center 7 or WHIO Radio, I always ask what's your level of optimism. And for the last 5-6 years, it's been right up there, much better than 10 years ago. But your sense is that level of optimism, that's what really leads to all these investments. They must know something.
Oh, absolutely. And we survey our members every year and we ask them that question. Coming up in the next year, do you expect to do more, less, or the same amount of business? And in the last couple of years, it's been more business. They're looking to grow, and the only thing that's holding them back right now is filling those positions. Like I said, they have the work to do. They just need to find the people to fill the spots.
So Chris, take a minute. If somebody is watching on News Center 7 or listening on WHIO Radio, they're in a small business, what would you tell them to encourage them to get involved with the Chamber, whether it's in Springfield or here in Dayton?
Well, to me, the chamber really does so much for your community. Our chamber is a little different, that we are kind of an umbrella organization. We're a Chamber of Commerce, Convention and Visitors Bureau, and an economic development agency. So we really are the organization that is helping to move the community forward. So your investment in us, that's helping to move the entire community forward. It's really raising the ecosystem is kind of the way we talk about it, is the chamber is helping to raise the ecosystem for every business, small businesses, mid-sized, large-scale businesses, but that's really what we are.
Chris Schutte from the Chamber in Springfield and Holly Allen from here at the Chamber in the Greater Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for being with us on the program this morning.
Thank you.
If people are interested, you want to check out what their operations are in either chamber or any other where you live, check their websites. All kind of good information there. While you're online, check our website as well. It's all at WHIO.com. You'll see what's happening in the news, weather, sports. I'll be checking sports scores this weekend as well, right there. That's our program this morning. Thanks for being with us. I'm Jim Otte. See you next week at WHIO Reports.